Hi, my name is Rachel Good. I'm a developmental behavioral pediatrician at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, and today we're going to be talking about developmental milestones and how they may differ in children with opioid exposures. So today we're going to be talking about what is typical development, what are some of the differences that we might see in children that have had opioid exposures, when, as a parent, you should be worried, and then what you should do. So first, let's talk about what typical development actually is. When we say typical, we mean a variety of milestones that could occur within a set period of time. And if these milestones don't occur within that period of time, then that's when we say not typical. Let's start with birth to 8 weeks. This time you have this beautiful newborn baby who is hopefully beginning to be more alert and starting to look around his or her environment, and he'll even start to smile when you smile at him, maybe starting to make a few sounds, and he's starting to have some good head strength when you pick him up. As your baby gets a little bit older, between the 3 to 6 month range, he should be rolling front to back and back to front, and maybe even starting to sit up with some support. He should be able to hold a toy in one hand and then switch it to the other hand or bring it to his mouth. And he should start to make cooing sounds and maybe even some vowel sounds like a ma or a da. He should hopefully be laughing out loud when you do tickle games and smiling when you smile at him. And he may even enjoy playing with the mirror. As your baby turns 8 to 12 months, you're going to see more developmental milestones. Your baby may turn when his name is called. He may even become upset if he's separated from you, and that's okay. Hopefully he'll say mama and dada, and by 12 months we would expect one other word. He should be crawling and may even be cruising around furniture or walking without his hands held. Also, when he's playing, he might look for a toy when it's dropped and wonder where'd it go, and that might become a game. He might also play peekaboo with you or other social games. As your baby is entering the early toddler years from 12 to 15 months, they should be walking without holding on and maybe even running with this cute little stiff run. They should be able to hold a crayon and make scribbles, although maybe not well. They should also be able to hold utensils and try to get them to their mouths. We would hope that your baby has around 3 to 5 words and can name at least one body part. Socially, your baby should be engaged with you when playing and trying to use toys as they are actually intended to use, for example, rolling a car. By 18 to 24 months, you now have a toddler. Congratulations. These children can run well, they can go up and down stairs, but they may still need their hand held. He might also begin to jump with his feet off the ground. Most children by 24 months should be able to use two-word phrases together like want that or no, mama. And they should have around 50 words, give or take. They should be able to follow 2-step instructions like please go to the table and bring me your cup. And they may even follow instructions that aren't related. For example, please go to the table and then clap your hands. They should be able to play with children, maybe not engaging with those children, but playing next to each other and maybe sharing toys or copying what the other child is doing. And you should see some pretend play coming through, like I'm going to feed my baby doll, or let me cook you something in the kitchen. So now that we've talked about typical development, let's talk about some differences you might see in a child who has had opioid exposures. Babies with opioid exposures are often irritable or cranky, and they may be very sensitive to light and to noise. They sometimes can be rigid or tight when you're holding them, and sometimes having a swaddle will help. And you can swaddle with a blanket or a sleep sack. They may also not be the best feeders, and that's okay because they'll get it eventually. You can help by giving them a pacifier to suck on to learn how to coordinate their mouth. These children have an increased risk of sensory differences or sensory challenges as they get older. So, for example, not tolerating loud noises or bright lights, or not tolerating certain textures on their body or in their mouth. They may also be at risk for behavioral challenges and emotional differences as they age. These children also are at increased risk of school problems like learning disorders and attention disorders like ADHD. Children with opioid exposures can have difficulties with social play and how they interact with other children. And it's not that they can't do this, it just may be hard for them. They are also at an increased risk of language delays and may be described as a slow talker. Children with opioid exposures, especially infants with opioid exposures, do have an increased risk of maltreatment because they are irritable. And it's completely okay as a parent if you have checked to make sure that your baby is fed and is diaper changed, to put your baby down in his crib and walk away for a moment. Because children often pick up on a parent's anxiety or emotions. And so sometimes giving yourself a break is what they need. And that's being a good parent. And remember, just because we're talking about these differences, your baby may have absolutely no differences. So when should you worry as a parent about your child's development? As a pediatrician, I am worried when you have a 12-month-old or a child that is older than 12 months who cannot look you in the eye when you're talking to them. Also, if your child is not turning when their name is called by 15 months, that's concerning. By 2 years old, we would hope to see a child have pretend play and to engage kind of in a social manner during play with peers. So if this is not happening, that's also a concern. I would be concerned as a developmental pediatrician if I see a child who is 15 months old or greater who does not have functional words. So, for example, a word to say I'm hungry or a word to say I need a diaper change. And if by 2 years old they're not putting words together to make phrases. I would also be worried if I see a child basically in the toddler years, so around 18 months to 24 months, who has what we would consider repetitive behavior, so like flapping their hands or playing with their fingers and not really playing with them, or if they're spinning themselves in circles or walking on their toes. By 12 months, I would hope to see that your child is beginning to walk, and by 15 months, your child should be walking without help. If they're not, this is a time to talk to your pediatrician. So as a parent, you have a worry. What do you do next? Well, I would say you should definitely talk to your primary care doctor or your nurse practitioner or your family doctor and voice your concerns. You are the expert in your child as a parent. And if you have concerns, you should let others know. Also, you can request a referral for early intervention services through the Tennessee Early Intervention System, or TEIS. As a child who has a diagnosis of neonatal abstinence syndrome, or NAS, your child automatically qualifies for these services. But even if your child does not have that diagnosis, if your child is behind in developmental domains, then they may qualify for this service. You can also request a referral to a developmental specialist like me if you have concerns, and we can talk through that more and maybe even do some standardized assessments. Or if your child spent time in the neonatal intensive care or received treatment for neonatal abstinence syndrome, then you may also qualify for developmental monitoring through a neonatal follow-up program. Other things that you can do, you can engage in your child in the home environment. So read to your child, talk to your child, and show your child how to play. You can also make sure your child is around other children, whether it's preschool or Mother's Day out, or just play dates at the park or at home, so that they have experience in socialization and in language. So now that we've talked about developmental milestones, when to worry, and what to do, let's summarize everything. So remember, typical development is a range and may vary in each child, but we usually give a couple of months window for a child to develop skills. You should be concerned if development is outside that 2 to 3 month window. Remember, you should worry when we see what we call red flags, which includes difficulty with eye contact or difficulty turning when the name is called, difficulties interacting with other people in a social manner, and showing pretend play. You also should be concerned if you see repetitive behaviors, if you see sensory challenges, your child has language that is delayed, or your child has motor skills like walking that are delayed. Remember, behavior can be challenging in toddlers in general, but especially in toddlers that have had opioid exposures. Be patient with them and give them firm guidance and instructions. Try not to ask them to do things, but tell them to do things. So remember, the information that we've talked about today may or may not apply to your child. If it does and you have concerns, please voice those concerns. And if it doesn't, that is awesome and great. And most importantly, congratulations on your new baby. Thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful.
Hi, I'm Jill Rigsby, Director of Early Intervention Programming for Tennessee's Early Intervention System. And today I would like to talk to you about the services that our program provides to children and families in Tennessee. Tennessee's Early Intervention System, TEIS for short, is a voluntary educational program for families with children aged birth to 3 with disabilities or developmental delays. TEIS provides services as outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. TEIS is a program of the Tennessee Department of Education, Division of Tennessee Early Intervention. First, I would like to talk to you about the approach of TEIS to service delivery. TEIS links families with services and supports to help them work with their child who has a disability and/or developmental delay. The focus of the service is to support families as they work with their children in daily routines and activities. The referral to a TEIS office is based upon the child's address. TEIS has 9 point-of-entry offices across the state, 3 in each grand region. In the West Tennessee region, we have offices in Martin, Jackson, and Memphis. In the Middle Tennessee region, our offices are in Cookeville, Nashville, and Murfreesboro. In the East Tennessee region, the offices are in Johnson City, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. Who should make a referral for your newborn to TEIS? Referrals are received from families, medical professionals, or anyone concerned about a child's development. So how can you make a referral? You can make a referral by calling the point of entry district office that provides services for the child's county of residence. You can call the TEIS referral line at 1-800-852-7157, or you can make an online referral via the TEIS website. To make a referral, this is the information needed: child's last name, parent or guardian name, parent or guardian contact information, child's date of birth, the reasons for the referral, and the referral source. What happens after the referral to TEIS? A 45-day timeline to determine eligibility and to write the plan for services begins. A letter is mailed to the family with a brochure providing questions and answer information to the family. An evaluator will call the family within 5 working days to schedule intake and an evaluation appointment. At initial appointment, the parent or guardian must give permission and sign release of information forms for medical records. The child must be present to conduct the evaluation. What can you expect during the intake and evaluation appointment? The evaluation appointment takes approximately 2 hours. Parents' or guardians' rights are explained and questions are answered. Consent for evaluation is obtained and releases are signed for medical records. A developmental evaluation, vision, and hearing checklists are completed. The evaluator will share results of evaluation with family before leaving the home, but eligibility cannot be determined until medical records are reviewed. Medical records must be less than 6 months old and show a review of systems. The record can be either from a sick or a well child visit, and any additional medical records demonstrating a TEIS qualifying diagnosis should also be sent, regardless of the age of records. To be eligible for TEIS, children must demonstrate one or more of the following criteria: diagnosis of one or more specific conditions likely to result in a developmental delay, as listed on the TEIS website. Neonatal abstinence syndrome, or NAS, neonatal opioid withdrawal syndrome, NOWS, is a diagnosis that falls into this category. An ICD-10 diagnosis code is required for all diagnosed conditions used for eligibility determination. Or a 25% delay in 2 developmental areas. Those developmental areas include motor, communication, cognition, social, and adaptive, or a 40% delay in 1 developmental area. Eligibility is determined through multidisciplinary approach, including a review of medical records containing a review of systems. When a child is eligible, the Individualized Family Service Plan, or IFSP, is developed. This plan identifies supports and services to address family priorities. It supports the child's successful participation in daily activities. It includes individual outcomes or goals for each child that are functional in everyday routines and that are measurable. The IFSP is reviewed by the team of service providers, including the parent, at a minimum of every 6 months. Once the IFSP is written, the team will determine the services to support the goals. Basic services outlined in IDEA include screening, service coordination, evaluation, assessment, developmental therapy, family services, nutrition, physical therapy, occupational therapy, communication development, vision, hearing services, assistive technology, and transportation. Services are provided by multiple agencies linked to TEIS. The type and amount of services to be provided for the child and family are described in the IFSP. The IFSP addresses child needs and the family resources, priorities and concerns related to identified developmental needs of the child. TEIS has defined principles of early intervention. Early intervention supports families to help their children develop. It takes place at home and in the community with the family. Families and professionals work together to create and monitor goals. Goals are family-centered and are written with the child and family's routine in mind. Early intervention plans focus on helping children become more social, explore their surroundings, and become more independent. Families use identified strategies to work with their child throughout the week. Goals and strategies are monitored to be sure they are effective, and providers working with families are kept to high standards. One concern that you may have is the cost of these services. It is the right of every infant and toddler to receive an eligibility evaluation and service coordination at no cost. When a service has a cost, TEIS encourages families to allow access to their private and/or public insurance benefits. We hope this information has been helpful. For more information or to make a referral, please contact your local point of entry district office or visit the TEIS website.